Being Gen Z can be crazy. Balancing life and the pressure of social media. Worry not. We've been there, we are there, or we will get there. It's Gen Z Central on Hot 87.7.
Welcome to Gen Z Central on Hot 87.7 FM. This is the spot for teenagers to chill out and hang out. Today on Gen Z Central, we're going to be getting real about something a lot of us deal with but barely talk about, using trauma as a crutch. We all know life can leave scars, but when does pain stop being a reason and start becoming an excuse? Can hurt ever justify hurting others? Let's dive into healing, accountability, and how we turn our stories into a strength. Instead of staying stuck, let's talk about it. Remember, you can always be interacting with us via our social media platforms at Hot FM Zambia and be part of the conversation.
Gen Z Central on Hot 87.7.
You're tuned in to Gen Z Central on Hot 87.7 FM, and the time is 14:06. And today we're going to be talking about about trauma. But before we get into trauma and the topic in the main conversation, we're going to get into the week's hot trends.
That's right. And starting us off on the week's top trends is Yomaps, who was previously on a podcast, or rather he was on a podcast this week with veteran broadcaster Kenny T. He's got a podcast, and basically he had an interview with him where Yomaps did share his life story. And one thing that's caught the attention of the different viewers or fans is how that he actually came out and mentioned to say that he's never met his father, or his father ran away when he was a kid. His father ran away when he was a kid, and his mother died when he was a kid as well. So it was only him and his sister, but then the family came, got the sister, and then he had to start fending for himself here and there. And then he was later adopted by the Mundias, who are his mom and dad that is currently living with, until he basically blew. So this is the story that is currently trending on social media.
Candice, you knew this though, because when we spoke about it being so shocking, you were like,
I told you guys, I don't even know where I heard it from, but then it's a sad story. And from what I know is that his dad died before he was born, something like that, and then his mom died afterwards. So when they were having the funeral and everything, the family members only got his sister to take care of Precious, and then for him, they were like, no, we can't take care of him because we have a lot of male children at home, so we can't take care of him. So he was trying to hustle until finally this family came in and took him. So, all this time they've been keeping somebody for 20 years. He was staying with them for 20 years, and they've been taking care of him just to find out that he's a star.
He's a star, and kindness pays off. Hey, a simple gesture. But what I don't understand, well, I do understand the wording. He said he was adopted. Was it like an adoption, like for real? Like they...
I think in Zambia, usually when you talk about adoption, first, like maybe laying it plain, if I want to take care of a child, you call it adoption. Sometimes the process in Zambia is if you can take care of a child and you start keeping them, then you've adopted them. Then you're their parent, And sometimes, to even a greater extent, social services recognizes that you're the parent even without actual documentation. So it's kind of different in Africa. But moving on to our next trend, Lumezi Member of Parliament Munia Zulu was yesterday sentenced to 18 months in prison for seditious practices. Now, the opposition did show up to show solidarity. We saw Mao Sampa and other opposition leaders, given Lewinda and so on and so forth, they were wearing black masking tape, and they were moving around in protest with signs that read, "My comment is cyber secured." So it was a silent protest. They didn't say anything, but it trended throughout the course of yesterday and into today, a silent protest. Now, yesterday, Wellington did mention to you, as we were having a conversation, how that there's somebody on social media who said the message is good, but the messenger, which is something that people are having a challenge with, the ones who are delivering the message. But that's what happened yesterday as well.
We were talking about the Cyber Law and Cyber Crimes Act last week, and we were saying the same thing, like, are people scared to say what they want to say? And now I'm like, wait, guys, is it really going to silence people? Because I wanted to say this yesterday that this is not what the cyber law is securing, though. Like if you feel a certain way about something, do what it has to be done. Go to social media and post. But then now it's like people are using it, and it's not even the authorities that are using it to oppress others. It's like those that are in opposition are like, oh, look at this law that you've put on us. We can't even express ourselves. Yeah. We're secured. I don't get it. I do not get it. But you know, something that I know we do get here on Hot FM is
Kondwa by Yo Maps.
Nakulela munsoni no wafya. Nobody Kontandeza kunchoza mavuto. Nobody kwenzebe. Somunileke ngotweleko. Pangono chabe. Unisiye ngotweleko. Pangono chabe. Nakulila munsoni no wafya. Nobody Ontandeza kunchoza mavuto. Nobody Kalani basi nimicheze maloni. Kwena choka nimisozi chabewa. Kalani basi nimicheze maloni. Mwena pita nimisozi chabewa. Koma boya makuna libena mozi. Chete kilo changa. Chete kilo changa chanile tabano. Chete kilo.
No, you really don't know where he came from. After he told his story, that's when it made sense. Like, oh, Yo Maps? That was Kondwa by Yo Maps.
True. I always say Yo Maps is a person that we love to hate or hate to love here in Zambia, because 1 minute we are like, oh no, he doesn't deserve us, he doesn't
your
deserve
wife
us. You know, your wife, your manager, and the next we're like, oh, this is okay, this is, you know, brilliant.
You're actually an orphan like this.
Oh no. My god, guys.
The next time you're dancing to his songs, oh, he's the biggest artist in Zambia.
You know, he really goes through some trauma.
No, he does.
We have traumatized him, he has traumatized us. But speaking of trauma, I just have to share. So one time I had a friend, and we were in a group setting, we were vibing, we were talking, and then at some point it got a little chaotic, right? And I lightly joked, I was like, come on, have some order, act like you have some home training, you know, that, like, act like you come from a home. And it was because it was just it wasn't like I was like, oh, you need to come from a home.
Those words.
No, I said home training. Okay, can I finish?
Okay, finish.
Yes. I said have some home training. You just put yourself together. And I meant it playfully, but suddenly this person exploded saying like, oh, don't talk to me about home training. I didn't grow up with my parents. I was raised by myself, a product of myself. I don't even know what a home is. I know. And then from that point on, I thought like we were over it, right? Like I thought like, oh, they've expressed themselves, and I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. And from that point on, they kept on justifying every single moment in the conversation. Like they kept on saying, you know, I act out of behavior because nobody was there to keep me. Nobody was there to see me. Nobody was there to help me. And it really made me think, like, okay, while their trauma is real and it's felt by them, the pain of growing up with nobody home, it's quite deep. But does that then become an excuse for somebody to treat others badly? Or even when they're trying to, you know, correct you or connect with you or joke with you, but you're constantly perpetuating this idea that you grew up with?
My first question is, what exactly did that person say or do that made you respond to them in that way, to say, have some home training or act like you come from a home?
I think it was, we just kind of like cackled, like we laughed. But then also this person has this blunt, accept me as I am type of attitude. Okay. Like the way I show up is the way I am. Like I'm real, like, you know, that type of thing. Like I'm real, this is what you get. Like what you get is what you get. Like what you asked for, that type of thing.
So they're just real.
They're not necessarily real, but it's like, okay, no, that you don't act like that. I wish I could give a specific example without revealing who this person is and hoping that they don't take the story out of context, because I really love her. But it's that thing where like you genuinely believe that where you're from is who you are. And because it's who you are, you don't want to change who you are because you're a representation of what you've been through. So even in situations or instances, we're like, no, just calm down. Like I'm just lightly like, oh, calm down. It's like, no, you're trying to make me become who I'm not. I wasn't there. Like I feel like they almost are threatened when pushed into cornered. Like they feel cornered. Or when we're in a group setting like this, they will want to be the one who's like, me, I'm from Kwa. The rest of you are from Ku. Like the rest of you live in Mayadi. Me, I'm from that type of thing. Like they want that representation.
So sympathy baiting?
Not sympathy baiting, but justifying that they don't have manners. Like manners in general. Like just politeness. Just be courteous. That type of thing. But for them, it's like, at least you had a father. I didn't. And I'm like, it's a waiter we're talking to.
So is that like excuse for bad behavior?
Yes. Like they just act unruly because that's who they are.
Me, teacher. First of all, I think I would say there is no excuse for bad behavior, whether you were or you weren't raised with your parents, whether you knew them or whether they abandoned you. Unfortunately, there's no excuse for you to have bad behavior. I watch a lot of content or a lot of movies, and I've heard these lines time and time again. You are not responsible for what happened to you, but you're responsible for how you react now. You know, you're not responsible for what happened to you then, but you can be very responsible for what happens to you now. How you react now is entirely up to you. You can't walk around your whole life carrying, you know, oh no, my father and my mother. You can't.
But I beg to differ because it depends on the situation. The way Wellington came up to her and said, "You lack home training," it just like.
I didn't say you lack home training, and we were in a group setting.
You see,
we were all laughing, and I said, "Guys, can we just like calm down, like have some home training?"
You see, like that is like a trauma.
You're triggering
it.
Trauma response.
Okay, no, I think I accept that it was triggering.
This is the problem of telling someone a story that works on radio. Come on, drop it on. You know, like I agree with Shabir because the idea of her coming out the way she came out is because in her head, mentally or subconsciously, she believes that people around her are constantly judging.
Yes.
So in her head, subconsciously, she feels like people, even before I speak it, let people know that where I come from is not
where they come from.
That's why all the time she's around you, she would be like, "Oh no, inesini machoka ku chani, but imomo machoka ku." So she's just trying to set a platform, to make you guys understand that.
But how many times are you going to set that platform? Especially if like you and I, Namwila, at this point in our friendship, shouldn't introduce each other like, "Oh, I'm Wellington. Hi, I'm Namwila." Like, I know you're Namwila. There's certain things that we already know about each other this far along. Is it important for me to constantly, "Hi, I'm Wellington Ame"? No.
Oh, so she repeatedly says that in the same space.
And also after acknowledging that I might have triggered something, which in that moment I didn't think. Thank you guys for making me see it now. But in that moment I said, "Sorry, but I didn't mean it as a we now." But it continued coming up. It was always like, "I don't have a dad."
I feel like it's her way of coping with her trauma.
Okay. I'm like at Wellington's side and I'm at Namwila and Shabir's side. One thing for sure is that where we come from, it's like a child will repeat whatever they see around. Like if my parents are fighting and whatever, I'll get that, you see. And as I grow, I'll grow in a certain type of way because of how I've seen things at home, you understand? But then there is no reason to have an excuse for bad behavior. I know that this is wrong and I shouldn't do this or I shouldn't say this just because whatever happened at home happened, you understand? At the same time, you, Wellington, you were supposed to try and realize, or you're supposed to try and think to say, why is she acting like this? Why is she acting like this? Okay, fine, she says she didn't have a mom or a dad or whatever it is, but you're supposed to like sympathize with her at the same time. That's what I think.
It's hard to deal with people with trauma.
It's hard, and we'll get into more of it.
Yeah, we definitely will. But then again, permit me to ask Mr. Kasonde, this person is an adult, right?
Yes. An adult.
Okay. An adult, like an adult or like pre-adult?
No, like in this room I think we're all adults.
Okay, so they can make conscious decisions, right?
Yes.
They're self-aware.
Yes.
Okay, I think we'll get into my point a little after the break.
So true. Keep it locked to Gen Z Central.
20 degrees. Hot. The heat is on.
This is Gen Z Central on Hot FM.
That's true. You're tuned into Gen Z Central on Hot 87.7 FM. The time is 14:25 and the topic of the day is trauma and using it as an excuse for bad behavior. Now, before we get right into the topic, let's understand where this trauma is, what trauma is, and how does it relate to being a bad person or something like that.
I think it's important to understand that yes, trauma explains a lot. It shapes how people see the world, how we trust others, how we react emotionally. But at the same time, it doesn't give anyone the license to hurt other people. It doesn't give them the license to treat them badly or stay stuck in the negativity. Emotional reactions are valid, especially in the moment. But for someone who keeps repeating toxic patterns without healing or growing, it stops being a trauma and it becomes your character. Like it's no longer a reaction, it's badly built character. Trauma refers to emotional or psychological wounds caused by painful or overwhelming experiences that someone has not fully healed from. There's a type of pain that leaves a long-lasting impact on a person's relationships, on their mindset, and often without them even realizing. Examples of trauma: childhood trauma, growing up in an abusive home or experiencing neglect as a child shapes how you see the world. Relationship trauma. A lot of Gen Zs, you'll just be going through relationship trauma, not even knowing it, like one relationship to the next, without understanding that you're moving forward with wounds without fully healing from being cheated on by a partner, having an emotionally unavailable or abusive parents. That's a relationship trauma, or even being betrayed by a close friend. That's a form of trauma. There's also societal trauma, which I just found out, which is facing racism or colorism or discrimination based on your identity, your gender, your class, the amount of money you make. That's societal trauma as well. And I think we see a lot of people on social media flashing money, and I'm like, you have societal trauma. Like when you didn't have the money, somebody told you something, and then now you're like, yeah, I am.
Let me show you.
There's also personal loss and tragedy, and also generational trauma, which we break in the churches.
Right. You're saying trauma. You're saying trauma being an excuse for bad behavior. People that go through traumatic incidents, in their head, they think their bad behavior is okay behavior. You having to say you've got bad behavior, to them it's like, but I mean, this is the way I am. There's nothing that I can do or how I can change it, right? So, like you said, you had a friend, she's an adult, having to control or correct someone who's older becomes a bit harder to control someone who's younger. Already the mindset is already matured. Other people are like, praising them, uplifting them. You're just okay. Don't worry. Just because you're blunt, that ain't mean,
You say it as it is.
You're real. You're a real person. And then there's you, Wellington, that goes to say,
no.
Home training.
Home training. You're never raised right. You know what I mean? And then in their heads, they're like, I feel like I'm just okay. You having to come and point out that I have a problem. Maybe you're the one with the problem. You get?
And I'll first start off by saying, excuse me, I'm a Sunday school teacher, right? Children's ministry teacher. And
how many things are you, George? Like, can we talk about the jack of all trades?
Hey,
every single episode, George is going to say, Ame.
He's also a taxi driver.
Actually, yeah. I am a taxi driver here. I'm not messing around. Like, I think I've done that before. So I'm a Sunday school teacher.
And you're still Gen Z.
Yeah, I'm very much Gen Z guy. I'm very much Gen
Z. Like I said last time, it has expired your card for being a Gen Z.
So in children's ministry, we've had to deal with so many unique cases because we do counseling as well for children and young people. And one of the things that you'll find is that, as Namwila has rightly put it, you'll find that because of somebody's trauma, it has developed to become a character trait. And for them, the character trait is who they are. It's who they portray. And I found something pretty interesting, which is subtracting the identity from the trauma. And many people don't know the difference because they find their identity in the trauma. Without the trauma, there is no identity. I've seen people have chaos because they don't know who they are apart from the bad things that they've gone through. And the moment that they begin unraveling, you have to remind them that this is what they've gone through for them to be okay. And it's really insane that there are people in the world that are actually going through this, and they can only be recognized by what they've gone through, which is a consistent need for therapy and or mental health evaluation.
I have a yes or no question. Do you think everybody has trauma?
Yes.
All of us have trauma?
No.
Yes. Can I justify?
I think my follow-up question, George, you come and say no, but also Candice, you come and justify. And then if we all have trauma, how important is it to building our characters? Like, how much of us is traumatic character built, and then how much of us is just natural, neutral, positive experiences? But you were justifying all of us having trauma.
As Africans, I feel like we all have gone through trauma, but then we've normalized it. You know, there is even just sexual trauma or sexual harassment. Today I come to work and somebody is just looking at me, I can touch you. You understand? And then tomorrow he says the same thing. And then the next day he says the same thing. At first I'll be like, Muna, you know, and sometimes you even feel good that, they're praising me. I'll even go chat to my friend about it. But then the moment he continues, I'll start thinking about it. That's trauma as well. It's just the little things. Like, we all have gone through trauma. There's emotional trauma.
There's absent fathers.
Yes, there's so many things.
You're so right. Now I'm seeing them in Africa. Like, instead of trauma being an excuse for bad behavior is excuse for causing trauma.
Exactly. There's also being broke is a trauma.
yes. Actually, others do get depressed from that. You know,
George, you said no. There's people that don't have trauma.
Yeah, and I'm going to justify it like this. Majority of the people that have undergone a lot of trauma are the millennials, the ones that are currently there because of the grandfathers and and so on and so forth. So for some of them who have a better understanding of what they've gone through and what they've experienced, the traumatic experiences, they have created a safe haven for their children. And their children are growing up in a world where they don't know traumatic experiences, where they basically have everything catered for. The father and mother are present, the finances are taken care of despite things being tough, and the parenting is good. Like, I'm being genuinely honest when I'm saying this. There are some people that have never experienced trauma or don't know it, where somebody you're having a breakdown and they cannot relate and they don't even know how to handle that situation.
Is that a good thing though?
George, everybody has experienced trauma one way or another. Do you know why I'm saying this? Trauma comes in different forms. Don't talk about present father, present mother. That's something different. There's relationship trauma. The only reason Namwila is not in a relationship is because of her past. Her ex was abusive. No,
go on.
No, guys. What if I'm in a relationship? You just don't know. You know, there's also the only reason people flaunt their money on social media is because they went through financial trauma. The only reason people act a certain way is because of trauma. So you having to say, oh no, millennials have created a space where they've been present for their children. Yes, quite right, because they understand what trauma is and they're trying to pass it on
fixing that trauma. But there's also trauma that you go looking for. Like, you won't find relationship trauma with your father. You and your father have a great relationship.
Spiritual trauma also.
Your mother's house and father's house.
But when is it you've established that there's trauma? When is it now a point to say, I think I'm going to pick myself up and do something about it?
The moment you discover, which brings me to my next point. At what point it becomes your responsibility? And this is why I asked that question. Is that person an adult? Because the moment that you hit that age where you begin to rationalize and think and you are actually an adult is the moment you have to start taking responsibility for your actions and for everything that you've been through. You can't just go around harassing Candice, harassing Namwila, Shabir Wellington just because your father was not present, or just because you had a bad relationship and maybe Candice will give you a better relationship. Then now you start treating Candice the way that your ex was treating you. You can't go around with those bad manners. You're an adult. It is your responsibility to deal with the traumatic experiences that you've had in your life. And of course, nobody chooses their trauma, but everybody chooses how they will respond to it over time. So the moment that you realize that this is what I'm going through, or this is what I've gone through and it's affecting me in this way, take yourself for therapy. Or if you can't afford therapy, you can talk to different kinds of counselors and or people in the church and so on and so forth. You cannot play the victim forever, because it keeps you stuck and it makes your relationships difficult. You can't even have a proper friendship because iwe chabe ndio we kamene unapita muvintu rionse chabe ndine.
You know, I think last time I had shared that I had a certain type of trauma, and when I realized that I was angry at almost everything, you know, like I used to get upset quickly. When I realized that, that's when I started working on it. Sometimes you don't even have to go for therapy or whatever. I think the first step is accepting that, okay, there's something wrong here, and what do I do to work on it, you know?
But not everyone is the same at the end of the day, because not everyone is as emotionally intelligent as you are, Candice. If someone were to find out what you found out and they didn't know how to handle it, they would keep on with their anger issues and they wouldn't even like try to open up with someone. They wouldn't do anything about it. They'll just let it sit within themselves, and that's how people just end up using trauma as an excuse.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, there's no time frame at when I'm 31 I'll realize that I went through something traumatic. Sometimes it needs to be people around you that let you know that, bro, I think you are going through something.
And I think I've had that moment on the show so many times where I'm like, wait,
why are they always pointing
people
at me? You
like
understand? Like it's always you with the
people
problem.
can't be wrong. Maybe one of them, George, can be wrong, but like 4 people can't be wrong, you know?
Yeah, so I was going to answer Shabia's question in that way, or statement in that way, but then Namila answered it. Sometimes the people around you, you have to have that sense of humor also, where you think and say, why are they always pointing at me, you know?
Yeah, why are you always pointing at me is one thing that you need to know. So the moment I start showing compassion to Wellington, I'm pointing out, oh, Wellington, it's not in a rude way. Like I'm telling you, Wellington, you always come late. You've got a problem. No. I'm saying it because I want you to understand that you need to also value other people's time and whatever, right? That's just an example. Yeah. So the moment you become supportive as a friend or as a parent or as a sibling, you're pointing out what the person is or who the person is without having to be disrespectful, to be negative, or without you having to manipulate. You know what I mean? Also, setting boundaries helps showing compassion. Like, okay, Wellington, you can speak to me, but not this way. Not this way.
Not through this way.
You talk to, we are friends, yes, but don't do this, don't say that. Setting boundaries will help me realize that, okay, I think
I have a nerve.
Yes, I have a problem somewhere, you know. And just showing kindness, like me being kind to Candice, and she'll be like, even if she always pokes me with a knife, and I'm just showing kindness, will make me realize that I think I have a problem. You get my point?
So true, because some people, like I said, there's people that are so used to that environment, it's toxic. I always say, when you're shouting, I don't listen to you. If someone starts shouting at me, I don't listen to you. And it's because where I'm from, we don't shout, right? Exactly. But I never walk into a space saying, at my place I don't shout, because they will shout at you at the office. One day you get into trouble and people will be storming around this hallway saying, why didn't Gen Z? So just because they don't shout at my house, when Piz is shouting, doesn't mean there's a negativity attached to it. Being able to adjust and experience different forms of love, like Namwila said, like when I'm acting out in my trauma, and the usual response in our house is to either get angry, get upset, throw a fit because it's toxic. She doing the opposite makes me go like, oh, okay, there's an alternative here that we're able to see.
Yeah, and just adding on to Namwila's point as well as Shabir, just like a scripture, Proverbs 11 verse 14 says, where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety.
He's a
I'm a teacher as well.
Tomorrow he will read the Bhagavad Gita.
You know, so you just need people, guys.
You just need people, and you also need to realize that you've got issues. You know, you've got issues. This is ish. You know, I used to sing this song a lot when I was younger. In my head, I'm like, which issues do you have? And I'm like, you're eating your mother's bread. You know? But this is Issues by Juliana Michaels.
When I'm high, I don't come down. I get angry. Baby, believe me. I can love you just like that, and I can leave you just as fast. But you don't judge me. 'Cause if you did, baby, I'd judge you too. No, you don't judge me. 'Cause if you did, baby, I'd judge you too. 'Cause I got issues, but you got them too. So give them all to me, and I'll give mine to you. Bask in the glory of all our problems. 'Cause we got the kind of love it takes us all from. I got issues, and one of them is how bad I need you. You do on purpose, get mad and you break things. Feel bad, try to fix things. But you're perfect, poorly wired circuit. And got hands like an ocean. Push you out, pull you back in. 'Cause you don't judge me. 'Cause if you did, baby, I would judge you too. No, you don't judge me. 'Cause you see it from the same point of view. 'Cause I got issues, but you got them too. So give them all to me and I'll give mine to you. Bask in the glory of all our problems. 'Cause we got the kind of love it takes to solve them. Yeah, I got issues, and one of them is how bad I need you. I got issues. You got them too. And one of them is how bad I need you. I got issues. You got them too. 'Cause I got issues, but you got them too. So give them all to me and I'll give mine to you. Bask in the glory of all our problems. 'Cause we got the kind of love it takes to solve them. Yeah, I got issues, and one of them is how bad I need you. Yeah, I got issues, and one of them is how bad I need you. Yeah, I got issues, and one of them is how bad I need you.
Hot FM. The heat is on.
Picture this. You are hungry and you're craving something different. Something with a crunch.
Oh, wow! That's perfect! Crunchy and packed with flavor and so much taste.
Yo, grab a pack. Yo, crunch. Man chip. Crunch it. Yo, you know how we do. Introducing Yo Crunch, the snack you never stop crunching. Yo Crunch. Feel the crunch in every lunch. Brought to you by Yo-Yo Fan Snacks.
Gen Z Central on Hot 87.7.
The time is 14:44 and you're tuned into Gen Z Central on Hot 87.7 FM. Now the topic of the day is trauma and having trauma as an excuse for bad behavior. So before we get back into the conversation, the phone lines are now open and you can call us on 0974-870877. 0974-870877. Now, talking about trauma and how people like use it as an excuse for bad behavior, let's first understand why people stay trapped in their mindset. The trauma mindset, right? I fear because of the fear of vulnerability. Yes, people fear to be like in pain. They fear to experience the pain and they don't want to feel that pain and they don't want to be engulfed in the pain at the end of the day.
Trauma can act like a blanket. Trauma can definitely act like a blanket. At a point, it just feels like that's all you know. Mm-hmm. It feels like that's all you've ever seen. And so being in a place where it's aided or it's being perpetuated, you just want to stay in that space because it's safer,
and
it's warmer.
You get a lot of free passes in life, like because she went through this, okay, let's understand her, let's keep her in that little circle. Like there's a comfort in victimhood. Like people just get comforted in being the victim and they just don't want to be in that position where they have to like stand on their actions. They don't want to gain that.
It's too much work.
Responsibility.
Standing on your actions is too much work. Having to put aside to realize that you've got a problem. Ish, you have to.
Also, just not having the right people around you. You know, when they're not really your friends or family or whatever it is, so long they are close to you, and they just take you for, that's how she is or that's how he is, it's okay, and they leave you. I feel like that's also contributing to it. But then if they let you know, like, hey, let's check you out, there's something wrong, and you're willing to actually listen and contemplate about it, it can help you.
It can. 0974-870-877. 0974-870-877. The phone line is open. You can also send a WhatsApp or message. Have you ever used trauma as a blanket? Have you ever been in a situation where something came up and you said it's because I didn't grow up with a dad? Well, not those words, but have you used trauma as a blanket?
Excuse me, sorry. In line with Shabir's point, there's weaponizing of somebody's vulnerability, I think, has caused a lot of people to shy or shun opening up, especially being helped with their trauma. Because I tell Candice that, Candice, my leg is not working right, and then the following day she says, oh, nichirema. You know what I mean? Telling people, and that usually brings people into a place where they actually become worse with their trauma. And some people don't actually realize that they add on to how somebody's traumatized, like the father and mother were absent, and then you keep on bringing it up, then the next day wakumenya coffee. You know what I mean? So it's things like that need to be addressed.
Okay, let's listen to our caller. Hello, you're through to Hot FM. Who are we speaking to and where are you calling from? Sorry, please be a bit louder.
Hi, this is Stephanie within Lusaka.
Hey Stephanie, please let us know, have you ever used trauma as an excuse?
Not using it, but I've seen someone use it. And it's one of those things where they were trying to play victim and get your sympathy out of it. And you know, it reaches a point where you're like, okay, it's enough of using the victim card.
Yeah. Is that all?
And then I wanted to just add that sometimes people constantly discussing what you've been through somewhat underplays your trauma.
That's true. Thank you so much for your input, and we have a kind gesture. We're going to give you a ticket to Levy Cinemas. You can carry your +1. You can go there in between Monday and Thursday and just let them know that Gen Z Central sent you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Aiding someone. She said something about talking about the trauma,
like reminding them constantly.
She said it undervalues it.
No,
it underplays it.
Yes, the lack of community support, in short. Like everyone is now like using your trauma against you.
Oh,
you get it.
You're in the group chat now.
Oh, now it's all about you.
Yes.
Like you went through so much trauma.
Hello, you're through to Hot FM, and who are we speaking to?
Okay, you're speaking to Luca.
Okay, Luca, and do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I think I've been one of the victims of trauma. Yeah, but I've been trying by all the means to work on it, like doing things on my own. I shouldn't be using that as a victim.
Yeah.
You know, growing up in a childhood where everything doesn't seem to be okay with you, broken home, being raised by people who are just outside your family as your relatives. But at the end of the day, I feel it's just a personal decision that someone can just come up with easily.
Yeah, that's
try to be a better person.
Yeah.
Because believe me, when I sit down and look where I'm coming from and where I am right now, it feels like it's a movie with different scripts. Yeah, so trauma, destroys property. It's up to an individual.
Yeah, I agree.
I've been through a lot. I've managed. I've taken myself to school fees. Great.
And I'm sure that's working out for you, right?
It does very much. Right now, I'm working. I've got a profession. I even took myself to college.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So.
Okay, Luca, thank you so much. We'll be giving you a ticket to Levy Cinemas. You can go there between Monday and Thursday and just let them know that Gen Z sent you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right. Lucas says it's your responsibility, even though so many things have happened to you or so many things are happening around you. It's you who picks yourself up to say, this is my job. Like, I'm supposed to do something about it. And nobody prepares you for that because it's trauma that you didn't ask for.
Which brings us back to the question on how we can encourage each other to turn pain into growth.
Yeah, and one thing that I think we should know or understand is that turning pain into growth is a journey. It's not a destination. You know, it takes time. It's not all about erasing the pain, but rather understanding it and using it as a catalyst for positive change. You know, just like Lucas said, he now goes for therapy and it's working best for him. But then you need to accept that something happened, but it's not you, you know. And the moment you accept that, you start working on it and find good ways to help yourself.
That is true. We have somebody on the line.
Hello, you're through to Hot FM. Who are we speaking to and where are you calling from?
Yes.
Sorry, please be a little bit louder.
Sorry?
Please be a little bit louder.
Oh, okay. My take on is that to stop playing this game. That
Unfortunately, we lost Jackless. Please ensure that when you call in, you turn down the volume on your radio set or TV, and also be clear. Speak to us through the mic. Be audible. Don't do speaker. That's, you know, be sure that you're talking to us through a proper phone call.
Yeah. On what's the previous caller's name again? Luca. On Luca's point on seeking therapy. Quick story time. There was a point in my life when I started therapy. When I started therapy, I ditched my therapist in like 2-3 sessions. That's how heavy.
Why did you run away from the therapist?
I didn't want to continue sharing. If you guys have interacted with me, I don't share like a lot. I talk a lot, but I don't share a lot. You get what I mean? Yeah. So the thing is,
face.
Oh no, like I'm being genuine. Like right. I talk a lot, but I don't share a lot. There are only a couple of people that I share honest conversations with, and I started having these conversations with my therapist at the time. I shared the things that bothered me growing up and so on and so forth. It should be like the second, third session. I never went back after that. I ditched them.
So
do you want to share with us? Like,
no.
But why bring it out then, George?
Because I'm also trying to say that therapy is not always the easiest of things. After that whole experience, I shut myself up to many people, and it was only when I started finding the right kind of people who wanted to listen to my story fully that I started accepting that I had issues that they could help me with.
So you still shared?
I still shared.
Okay.
At the
someone.
point. Yes.
Okay. So have you healed out of the trauma?
It's a lifelong process, I must say, because the things still go on. The things are still happening. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Baby steps.
So I think your therapist wasn't really helping. Like you're not feeling like you're in a comfortable space, but then you found people who you could share.
No,
with.
I think he was. It scared him. Like you speak to someone and then you're like, wait, I can't continue doing this, and you run away from it. So you're avoidant towards the trauma.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, it's just not easy to just open up to anyone. I think for the therapist setup, I think it's because they feel like it's more comforting to just talk to a stranger instead of someone who's known you long enough to know that all this was happening. But sometimes people just can't open up like every time. It's hard.
On the other hand, I think we've had people who've gone through stuff, who've been raped, misused, I don't know what terms to use, and all that thing. Like, they've gone through trauma and everything, but now they're using it, like they're speaking out, and from them speaking out, they're helping other people. So, you know, I think, therapy might not be the best option, but there could be several things that can work around it, and you can actually help others.
I have a question for Namwila. I know you want to say something, but Namwila, if you were to heal from your trauma, would you be comfortable to be the face of healing from that trauma?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't have trauma, so dogs.
Sure you don't.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, is narcissistic behavior a trauma response? Because I've seen so many Gen Zs in our calling, oh no, he's a narcissist, or she is, Is it a trauma response?
Yes, it is.
So because I know that a narcissist is it's a clinical diagnosed disease. It's not something that you just wake up and say, "Oh,
I
I'm."
like that you've said clinically diagnosed. So most people are just selfish.
Google diagnosed.
You're just selfish. Like you don't even have like a. It's like the idea of mental health, of depression. Like, oh, I can't come to work today because I'm not feeling so well. No, you're lazy, you know? And so people will be like, oh, I'm a narcissist. No, you're not a narcissist. You just don't want to be accountable. Because narcissism, like you say, is clinically diagnosed.
It's a disorder.
It's a disorder. But then people now have these fancy words like mental, you know. I'm depressed. I have anxiety.
Oh my
God. All of these things are not working so well for me. And it's like, hey, please calm down. Just take accountability for your bad behavior.
Your
It's
bad
not
person.
trauma. It's bad behavior.
Exactly, because in secondary school, like grade 12, me and a friend of mine in class were going through the exact same experience. And Evans akutenga attention yonse. Like every single time, uzamu pesa alila. I was like, please.
We are going through
the same thing, but I never really opened up about it. But she opened up about it. Like everyone knew, like the whole grade 12 block knew about it. And now it's like she just wanted that kind of attention. Like people even bringing for her food and everything like that. I was like,
that girl is a strategist.
Nah, that girl is selfish. She's not a narcissist. She's selfish. Like you can't just. And I love that in this generation we have words for everything. We have a word for everything, and because we do, we abuse these words. Like people don't even understand that trauma is deeper than. And I love the revelation Candice brought to light, which is Africans have learned to survive their trauma. So sometimes you don't have to, even though we've done it in a terrible way, but I believe sometimes you don't have to work and heal from the trauma. Sometimes you accommodate the trauma and let it build your character. And that's why I was saying, like, how do you build integrity or honesty or a value like being modest or being upright if it's not tested? Just because you went into a relationship and it didn't end so well and the love failed and the person cheated, then it's just made you work your love muscle. You know, you can't become now, like, I'm going to be breaking hearts wherever I go, whichever girl I found.
You need to understand that it's not always about you. Sometimes think about the people around you. Like, how are they going to respond to this certain thing?
Yeah.
We
end off this trauma experience and trauma topic.
This was a beautiful conversation. Looking forward to next week. Next up is Nono Zaza with Old School Hits, but we'll leave you off on a high, low, middle note, traumatic note. This is Trauma by NF.
Say you're there when I feel helpless. If that's true, why don't you help me? It's my fault, I know I'm selfish. Stand alone, my soul is jealous. It wants love, but I reject it. Trade my joy for my protection. Grab my hand, I'm drowning. I feel my heart pounding. Why haven't you found me yet? I hold you so proudly. Traumas, they surround me. I wish you just loved me back. Say you're here, but I don't feel it. Give me peace, but then you steal it. Watch them laugh at all my secrets. Scream and yell, but I feel speechless. Ask for help, you call it weakness. Lied and promised me my freedom. Grab my hand, I'm drowning. I feel my heart pounding. Why haven't you found me yet? I hold you so proudly. Traumas, they surround me. I wish you just loved me.